The date of June 26, 2023 will live on in infamy in the history of Skullgirls, for better or for worse. From the one side who screams censorship is wrong without examining what was changed or even why it was changed, to the side staunchly defending the folks over at Autumn Games, this change in mood, I guess, has been met with hostility on both sides of this debate, to say the least. Now let me start off by saying, I love this game. The artwork is beautiful and animated flawlessly, the combat is fast-paced, crisp, and responsive, the story and setting are both unique, crafting a look and style that definitely feels its own, and for people who aren't fighting game enthusiasts like myself, has one of the absolute best tutorials this side of Street Fighter 6, 10 years before Street Fighter 6 came out. This all mixed with a great cast and a fantastic set of DLC characters, that they're still working on by the way, makes a very entertaining game. I played this game on Vita, and nobody played this game on Vita. So what did they change? A general gloss over the changes made are combat, art, and story adjustments. They changed a good handful of palettes and some such, removed an entire Soviet voice pack, and they took out what was essentially Nazi armbands off of Parasol's group. And while I'm talking about art, they changed a lot of artwork, mostly minor changes, covering up naughty bits, removed some artwork. A knee-jerk statement I'm never going to be happy to see. And for the story, adjusted a handful of illustrations, most notable is a bit of police brutality. Now, what's just as important to bring up for these changes isn't just what they did, it's why they did it. Such answers we have because of a forum post made by the director. Starting with why they changed so much artwork, most of it is because the characters in some scenes have sexuality imposed on them. They made a lot of these changes to tone it down a tad and making it less predatory, as harsh as that sounds. And while I don't like the statement of removed artwork, I am self-introspective enough to say that I'm not going to fight to keep these topics, but that's just personal preference. Next, we're back to the Egret armbands. This was moved because Autumn Games & Co. thought this was way too close to actual Nazi symbolism, and that there's actual real-world groups based on the subject. This I'm a little torn on. On the one hand, nobody wants to be associated with a hate group. On the other hand, I point you to the Warner Brothers disclaimer. To quote, while the following does not represent the Warner Brothers view of today's society, these cartoons are being presented as they were originally created, because to do so otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices never existed. So I think these do not need to be removed in the least, especially when you change the actual substance of the story, like with Big Band's police scenes. This is entirely my personal preference because I'm a huge lore nerd, so changing a story to be more presentable like this doesn't fly with me. And while we're at it, let's throw away Star Wars for the same reason. No more stormtroopers! And I'm glad I sat on these changes for a minute because I could have gotten a pitchfork and said censorship bad, but I sincerely don't think that's representative. In closing, the director states, we of course recognize that some of our members may disagree with these changes. Boy, was that an understatement. We are confident that this will provide a more sound foundation for Skullgirls that we can be proud of. The timing of this is something that still puzzles me. People bought this game and had crowdfunding to keep Skullgirls growing, which to me is proof that the community is at least tolerant to these subject matters, let alone accepting. And to make my point better, this game was put on the main stage of EVO last year, 9 years after this game came out. One of the biggest fighting game tournaments featured this game, with said problematic content. So now it's a problem? And you don't want to be associated with a hate group, but the Black Dahlia is okay? So what's an answer that fixes all of this? I say, and humbly ask the folks over at Hidden Variable Studios and Autumn Games not to revert these changes, but allow the changes to be turned on or off. The work for the changes has already been done and nobody wants to waste time or resources. So put in a switch to turn these on or off. Perhaps one for each subject. Because it's not okay to change the compendium of an art book that's supposed to have every frame of the game. People paid money for this item, don't mess with it. As a wannabe artist, when you say all artwork, I expect all artwork. On a happier note, this event that the game is going through has been driving up concurrent player count, so maybe now is a good time to look at this game if you never did. Pro tip, Squiggly has his own Tauntaun palette that's still there, so that's top tier. At least it's not them's fighting herds. Normally I try and do more family-friendly content, so I am a little bit sorry about this not being
Objection!
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the video was going to end, but this topic is one that keeps on giving. Just like with the next topic of Discord messages of a developer talking about the players, likening them to dirty socks. And as a resident dirty sock, this makes me want to throw everything I just said out the window, because they want to bite the hand that feeds them.
Hold it!
And then Steam silences the negative reviews because they're off topic, even though the now positive reviews are even more off topic than the negative ones. So there's no context for when they say, oh, forget those guys. Even though I wanted to defend these guys, I had to throw out all of this work I did because all I wanted to do was play Skullgirls in peace.
How could they ruin my favorite figure?
Fuck this, I'm going going back to Witcher. They don't call me laundry names.